How would you feel if you woke up to find legal documents on your kitchen table, all because of one night out? What if your husband, the man you thought would always forgive you, suddenly became the one holding all the evidence? Can one night of fun really destroy a marriage, or is there always more to the story? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. I'm Vesper Marwood, and I thought I knew the answer to that question. I was wrong. The bass pounded through Pulse nightclub like a heartbeat, and for the first time in months, I felt alive. Really alive. Not like the walking zombie I'd become, shuffling between hospital meetings and soccer practice pickups. "Come on, Vesper," Jenna Clark shouted over the music, pulling me toward the dance floor. "You need this." She was right. At 32, I felt like I was drowning in suburban mediocrity. Ethan, my husband of 9 years, had become predictable as clockwork. Work, dinner, television, bed, repeat. Where was the passion? Where was the excitement we used to have? The club was packed with 20-somethings, their energy infectious. I smoothed my black dress, the one Ethan said was too young for me, and followed Jenna into the crowd. "I haven't been out like this since before Chloe was born," I said, accepting a drink from a handsome bartender with sleeve tattoos. "That's exactly the problem," Jenna replied, her eyes scanning the crowd. "You're not just a mom and wife, you're still a woman." The bartender, his name tag read Toby, smiled at me. "First time at Pulse?" "First time anywhere in years," I laughed, feeling the alcohol warm my cheeks. My phone buzzed. "Ethan. Movie night with Chloe? She picked out something special for us to watch together." I stared at the text, irritation flaring. This was exactly what I was talking about. Always family this, family that. What about what I wanted? "Everything okay?" Toby asked, refilling my glass without being asked. "Just my husband being clingy," I said, shoving the phone back in my purse. Jenna rolled her eyes. "Ethan needs to learn that you're not his property. You deserve to have fun." Another text from Ethan. "Chloe's asking where you are. When will you be home?" I turned my phone face down. "I'm networking with work colleagues," I texted back. It wasn't entirely a lie. Some hospital staff did come here occasionally. The music shifted to something with a hypnotic rhythm, and Toby came around from behind the bar during his break. "Care to dance?" Why not? I was young, attractive, and tired of being treated like I was already dead. Ethan certainly wasn't making me feel desirable anymore. Toby was a good dancer, confident but not aggressive. We moved together easily, and I found myself laughing for the first time in weeks. When was the last time Ethan had made me laugh? "You're beautiful when you smile," Toby said, his hand resting lightly on my waist. I felt a thrill I hadn't experienced in years. This was what I'd been missing, feeling wanted, feeling alive. "Vesper, get over here," Jenna called, holding up her phone. "Group photo." I posed with Jenna and several other people we'd met, feeling carefree and young. Toby's arm was around my shoulders, and I didn't move away. "This is going straight to Instagram," Jenna announced. "You look amazing." My phone buzzed again. More texts from Ethan, but I ignored them. For once, I was going to do what I wanted. As the night wore on, Toby and I danced to song after song. He bought me drinks, complimented my hair, told me I had beautiful eyes. When was the last time Ethan had noticed my eyes? "Your husband's a lucky man," Toby said during a slow song, pulling me closer. "Sometimes I wonder if he thinks so," I replied, allowing myself to enjoy the feeling of being desired. At 2 a.m., Jenna finally dragged me toward the exit. "We should probably get going. Some of us have kids to take care of tomorrow." As we waited for our Uber, my phone lit up with notifications, social media tags, messages, missed calls from Ethan. The final text made my stomach drop. "We need to talk." But I pushed down the anxiety. I hadn't done anything wrong. I danced with some people, had a few drinks, felt human again. If Ethan had a problem with that, maybe the issue was with him, not me. I crept into the house at 3 a.m., expecting Ethan to be asleep. Instead, I found him sitting at the kitchen table with his laptop open, still fully dressed. "Have a good time?" His voice was eerily calm. "It was fine. Just needed to blow off some steam." I kicked off my heels, trying to project casual confidence. "I see that." He turned the laptop screen toward me. There was Jenna's Instagram post, me, laughing, with Toby's arm around my shoulders. The timestamp showed 1:47 a.m. "It's just a photo, Ethan." "Just a photo," he nodded slowly, "of my wife, out until 3 a.m., with another man's hands on her. We were dancing. It's called having fun. You should try it sometime." His jaw tightened. "Chloe waited up until midnight for movie night. She cried herself to sleep asking where Mommy was." Guilt twisted in my stomach, but I pushed it away. "I told you I was going out with Jenna. You could have started the movie without me. You said you were networking with work colleagues. This looks like a nightclub, not a professional mixer." "God, Ethan, you're so controlling," I snapped. "I can't even have one night out without you interrogating me like I'm a criminal." "I'm not being controlling. I'm being concerned. Your behavior tonight." "My behavior? What about your behavior? Sitting here like some jealous stalker, monitoring my social media." Ethan closed the laptop and stood up. "I didn't monitor anything. Daryl texted me when he saw the post. He was worried about you." "Great. Now Jenna's husband was getting involved too." "There's nothing to worry about. I danced with some people. I had a few drinks. I felt like a human being for the first time in months instead of just your housewife." "You're not just my housewife, Vesper. You're my partner, my wife, Chloe's mother. We're supposed to be a team." "A team where only your needs matter," I shot back. "When's the last time you asked what I wanted? When's the last time you made me feel attractive or interesting?" Ethan's expression softened slightly. "Vesper, if you're unhappy—" "I'm going to bed." I cut him off. "We can talk about this when you're ready to be rational." I stormed upstairs, leaving him standing alone in the kitchen. In our bedroom, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. My makeup was smeared, my hair disheveled, but my eyes were bright with an energy I hadn't seen in years. Maybe Ethan was right to be worried. Maybe he should be. The next morning, I woke up to find Ethan already gone for work. No goodbye, no coffee made for me like usual. Fine, if he wanted to be petty, I could play that game too. I was getting ready for my shift at St. Elmo Hospital when I noticed something odd. My phone seemed different. Some of my recent messages appeared to be missing. Had I deleted them accidentally last night? I tried to remember exactly what I'd texted to whom, but the evening was a blur of music and laughter and Toby's easy smile. When I went to use our family laptop to check my email, I found it password protected. Ethan had never put a password on it before. My phone rang. Ethan's mother, Irene. "Vesper, dear, I saw some concerning photos online. I think we need to talk." "I'm fine, Irene. Everything's fine." "Dancing with strange men until all hours while your husband and daughter wait at home doesn't look fine to me." "It was just innocent fun. Ethan's overreacting, and apparently so is everyone else. I raised my son to be a good husband and father. I hope I don't have to watch him get his heart broken." The call ended, leaving me frustrated and defensive. Why was everyone making such a big deal about one night out? I called my mother, Samantha, needing someone on my side. "Oh, honey," she said after I explained the situation. "Ethan's always been a bit uptight. You're young and beautiful. Of course you should be able to have fun with your friends." Finally, someone with sense. "Your father thinks you might have been a bit impulsive," she continued, "but I told him that Ethan needs to learn to appreciate what he has before it's too late." Exactly. Maybe if Ethan had been paying attention to me, I wouldn't have needed to seek validation elsewhere. But as I drove to work, Toby's text from earlier that morning kept replaying in my mind. Had a great time dancing with you last night. Hope we can do it again soon. I'd responded with a smiley face emoji before I could think better of it. It was just friendly, I told myself. Nothing wrong with having friends. By Friday, the tension at home was unbearable. Ethan barely spoke to me, and Chloe kept asking why Daddy seemed sad. I decided we needed to clear the air publicly, show everyone that our marriage was solid. Let's have dinner out tomorrow, I suggested to Ethan. The whole group, like old times. He looked up from his laptop. The whole group? You, me, Jenna, Daryl. Maybe we can even get my parents to join us, show everyone that we're fine. Ethan studied my face for a long moment. If that's what you want. Saturday evening at Romano's family restaurant, I felt confident and in control. I'd chosen a tasteful but attractive outfit, done my hair perfectly, and prepared my talking points. I would demonstrate that Ethan was being paranoid and possessive. So, I said once everyone was seated, I suppose you've all heard about Ethan's little meltdown over my night out with Jenna. Jenna laughed nervously. It wasn't that big a deal, right? Just girls having fun. Daryl shifted uncomfortably in his seat. My parents exchanged glances. Apparently, my husband thinks I'm not allowed to dance or have male friends. I continued, reaching over to pat Ethan's hand in what I hoped looked like affectionate teasing. Vesper, Ethan said quietly, maybe we shouldn't. Shouldn't what? Talk about how you've been treating me like a prisoner. How you put passwords on our computer and interrogated me like I committed a crime. My mother nodded supportively. Ethan, dear, Vesper is still a young woman. She needs some independence. Independence is one thing, my father said carefully. But nothing, Dad. I went dancing. I had a few drinks. I talked to people. Since when is that grounds for the Spanish Inquisition? Ethan's mother, Irene, had been quiet until now. Since you're a married woman with a 7-year-old daughter who stayed up crying because her mother abandoned family movie night for strange men. I didn't abandon anyone, I snapped. And they weren't strange men. They were just people at a club. People like Toby? Ethan asked, his voice still eerily calm. The table went silent. How did he know Toby's name? I don't know what you mean, I said, but my voice sounded shaky even to me. Daryl cleared his throat. Vesper, maybe you should know that. That what? I looked around the table, feeling suddenly outnumbered. Ethan pulled out his phone and set it on the table. That Toby Lynn, bartender at Pulse nightclub, has been texting my wife since Tuesday morning. My stomach dropped. How did he have access to my messages? Those are private communications, I said, grasping for control. Between my wife and another man who's asking her to meet him for drinks, alone. Jenna's face had gone pale. Vesper, you didn't tell me you were texting with him. Because it's innocent. We're friends. Friends, Ethan repeated. Is that what you call someone who texts, can't stop thinking about our dance, and your husband doesn't deserve you? The restaurant suddenly felt too hot, too bright. Everyone was staring at me. You went through my phone, I accused. I didn't have to. You left it open on the kitchen counter yesterday morning. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I stood up, my voice rising. You're all ganging up on me because I dared to have a conversation with someone who actually finds me interesting. Vesper, my father said firmly, sit down. People are staring. Let them stare. I'm tired of pretending everything is perfect when my husband treats me like his property. Irene stood up abruptly. I won't sit here and watch you humiliate my son any further. She gathered her purse and walked out. Mom, Ethan called after her, but she was already gone. Great job, Vesper, Daryl muttered. Excuse me? You heard me. Ethan's been nothing but good to you, and you're acting like a spoiled teenager. How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth. You're embarrassing yourself and hurting your family. Jenna grabbed my arm. Maybe we should go. But I wasn't finished. You know what? You're all jealous because I had the courage to do something fun for once instead of sitting around complaining about how boring my life is. Courage? Ethan finally raised his voice. Is that what you call lying to your husband and flirting with other men? I didn't lie. You said you were networking with work colleagues. I was socializing with a 29-year-old bartender who's been asking you out. The entire restaurant was quiet now, everyone watching our family implode in real time. Daryl reached under the table and handed something to Ethan. A USB drive. Ethan looked at it, then at me, and his expression changed completely. We're leaving, he said, standing up. Vesper, we'll discuss this at home. I'm not going anywhere with you when you're acting like this. Then I'll go alone. But this conversation isn't over. As he walked away, I looked around the table at the faces staring back at me. Disappointment from my father, pity from my mother, disgust from Daryl. Even Jenna looked uncomfortable. What was on that USB drive? I asked. Daryl shook his head. You really don't know, do you? How deep you've dug this hole. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Check your email. With shaking hands, I opened my email app. There was a message from Ethan with a video attachment, security footage from Pulse nightclub. Me and Toby, dancing much closer than I remembered. His hands on my waist, my back, my hand on his chest. The timestamp showed we'd been together for over 2 hours, but it was the final few seconds that made my blood run cold. Toby leaning in close, whispering something in my ear. Me laughing, my hand touching his face. And then, just before the video ended, him kissing my cheek while I smiled. I didn't remember that kiss, but there it was, in high definition, with a timestamp of 2:23 a.m. Oh, Vesper, my mother whispered, looking at the video over my shoulder. I stared at the screen, watching myself behave like someone I didn't recognize, someone I didn't want to be. But it was too late. The evidence was already in Ethan's hands. Monday morning at St. Elmo Hospital felt like walking into a minefield. I could feel eyes following me as I made my way to my office, whispers stopping abruptly when I passed. Morning, Vesper, called Janet from accounting, but her smile seemed forced. In the elevator, 2 nurses were discussing weekend plans. I saw the craziest thing on Instagram, one said. That administrator, the one with the cute little girl, she was all over some young guy at Pulse. Vesper Marwood? No way. Her husband seems so nice. That's what makes it worse. Some women don't know how good they have it. The elevator doors opened and they hurried out, not meeting my eyes. My assistant, Maria, looked uncomfortable when I arrived at my office. Mrs. Marwood, Dr. Patterson wants to see you when you have a moment. Dr. Patterson, the hospital director. This couldn't be good. His office felt sterile and judgmental as I sat across from his massive desk. Vesper, I'm going to be direct. It's come to my attention that there are some personal photos circulating on social media that feature you in a less than professional light. My cheeks burned. My personal life is my own business. Normally, yes, but when you're tagged at a nightclub, dancing inappropriately with men who aren't your husband, it reflects on this institution. We have a social media policy. I wasn't representing the hospital. I was on my own time. You're listed as a hospital administrator on your social media profiles. Like it or not, you represent us 24/7. He slid a piece of paper across the desk. This is a formal warning. Any further incidents that bring negative attention to St. Elmo will result in disciplinary action. I walked back to my office in a daze. How had my life spiraled so quickly out of control? My phone buzzed with a text from Toby. Hey, beautiful. Heard your husband came by the club asking questions. Everything okay? My blood turned to ice. Ethan had gone to Pulse. I called him immediately. What did you do? I demanded when he answered. Good morning to you too, Vesper. You went to that club? You talked to Toby? I had some questions. I got some answers. You're stalking me now. I'm protecting my family. There's a difference. What did you say to him? I asked him about his relationship with my wife. He was very informative. The line went quiet except for my pounding heartbeat. Ethan, Whatever he told you, we'll discuss it tonight. I have to go. The call ended, leaving me staring at my phone in panic. Around noon, my mother called. Honey, your father and I have been talking. Maybe you should consider counseling. I don't need counseling. I need people to stop treating me like a criminal. But Vesper, that video, it doesn't look good. It was just dancing. It looked like more than dancing to us. Even my own mother was turning against me. The afternoon brought worse news. Chloe's teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, called about my daughter's recent behavior. She's been very withdrawn lately. She drew a picture in art class of herself sitting alone while two adults argue in the background. I'm concerned about what might be happening at home. Everything's fine at home, I lied. Children are very sensitive to family stress. If there's anything going on that might be affecting Chloe, there's nothing going on. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true. Chloe had been quiet all weekend, clinging to Ethan and avoiding me. Last night, she'd asked if Mommy and Daddy were getting divorced. By 4 p.m., I couldn't concentrate on work anymore. I drove home early, hoping to talk to Ethan before things got worse. Instead, I found Irene's car in my driveway. She was in my kitchen, making dinner with Chloe, acting like she owned the place. Where's Ethan? I asked. He'll be home soon. We need to talk. This is my house, Irene. And that's my son you're destroying. Chloe looked between us nervously. Grandma, is Mommy in trouble? Why don't you go play in your room, sweetheart? Irene suggested gently. Once Chloe was gone, Irene turned to me with cold eyes. I know what you've been doing. I know about the texting, the lies, the public humiliation. I raised Ethan to be a good man, and I won't watch you tear him apart. You don't know anything about our marriage. I know my son comes home every day trying to make you happy. I know he works extra hours to pay for your shopping trips and spa days. I know he rearranges his schedule for every school event and soccer game while you're out dancing with bartenders. That's not fair. What's not fair is a 7-year-old asking me why her mommy doesn't love her daddy anymore. The words hit me like a physical blow. Chloe said that? This morning, when Ethan dropped her off at school, she asked if it was her fault that you were angry all the time. Guilt crashed over me in waves, but I pushed it back. This was everyone else's fault for overreacting. I'm not angry all the time. No, you're just selfish all the time. There's a difference. The front door opened and Ethan walked in, stopping short when he saw us facing off in the kitchen. Mom, maybe you should head home. I'm not leaving you to deal with this alone. It's okay. Vesper and I need to talk. Irene gathered her things, but paused at the door. Ethan, remember what we discussed. You don't have to accept this behavior. After she left, Ethan and I stood in our kitchen like strangers. So, he said finally, I had an interesting conversation with Toby Lynn today. My stomach dropped. Ethan, he told me about the texts you've been sending, the ones where you complain about how unhappy you are in your marriage, the ones where you talk about meeting him for drinks. I never met him for drinks. But you wanted to. You told him you were thinking about it. Had I? The messages were becoming a blur in my memory. He also mentioned that you gave him your number without him asking for it. That's not true. He showed me the napkin, Vesper, the one from Tuesday night when you went back to the club. My world tilted. I didn't go back. You told me you were working late, but you were at Pulse, having drinks with Toby Lynn and telling him about our marriage problems. The memory came flooding back. I had gone back just for an hour, just to feel normal again. But I'd convinced myself it didn't count because nothing happened. Ethan, I can explain. No more explanations, no more lies. He pulled out his phone and showed me an email. From his lawyer. I filed for legal separation. You'll be served with papers tomorrow. The room spun around me. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Over some dancing, some text messages. Over the lying, the cheating, the complete disrespect for our family. I didn't cheat. Emotional cheating is still cheating, Vesper, and based on that security footage, it was heading toward physical cheating too. I sank into a kitchen chair, my legs giving out. What about Chloe? What about her? You should have thought about Chloe before you decided to blow up our family. I didn't blow up anything. You're the one overreacting. But even as I said it, I could hear how hollow the words sounded. The doorbell rang. That'll be the process server, Ethan said calmly. You called them tonight? I called them this afternoon, after my conversation with your boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend, but Ethan was already walking to the door. The process server was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a professional demeanor that somehow made everything worse. Vesper Marwood? Yes. You're being served with papers for legal separation, temporary custody arrangements, and financial restrictions pending divorce proceedings. The thick envelope felt heavy in my hands, like it contained the weight of my entire life falling apart. Ma'am, you have 30 days to respond through legal counsel. The temporary orders go into effect immediately. After she left, I stared at the documents, the legal language swimming before my eyes. Temporary custody to petitioner, respondent restricted from joint accounts, supervised visitation pending evaluation. Supervised visitation? I looked up at Ethan in shock. You're trying to take Chloe away from me. I'm protecting her from the chaos you've created. I'm her mother. And you're also someone who lies to her father, stays out until 3 a.m. with strange men, and puts her emotional well-being at risk for your own selfish desires. That's not fair. I love Chloe. I know you do, but love isn't enough when your actions are hurting her. I flipped through more pages, seeing my life dissected in legal terms. Financial restrictions. You're cutting off my access to our money. To protect our assets during proceedings, you'll have access to funds for necessities, but no more shopping sprees or nights out. You can't do this to me. I can and I am. I've been documenting everything, Vesper. The lies, the texts, the public humiliation, the effect on Chloe. My lawyer says I have a strong case. I felt like I was drowning. Ethan, please, can't we work this out? Go to counseling or something? I suggested counseling 6 months ago when you started complaining about being bored. You said I was overreacting. I'll go now. I'll do whatever you want. It's too late for that. It's never too late. We have a family. We had a family. You decided it wasn't enough for you. Tears started flowing, but they felt manipulative even to me. I made some mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes are forgetting to pick up milk or double booking dinner plans. What you did was make a series of deliberate choices to betray our marriage. I never slept with anyone. You were planning to. Those texts with Toby make it pretty clear where things were heading. I tried to remember exactly what I'd written, but the messages blurred together in my memory. Even if that's true, I didn't actually do anything. You did enough. The front door opened and Irene walked back in, carrying an overnight bag. I'm staying here tonight to help with Chloe, she announced. This is still my house, I protested. Actually, Ethan said, consulting the legal papers, according to the temporary orders, I have primary custody and control of the family residence. You're welcome to stay, but Chloe's care and schedule are my responsibility now. You're treating me like a stranger in my own home. You made yourself a stranger when you started prioritizing other men over your family. Irene was already heading upstairs. I'll get Chloe ready for bed and help her with homework. I can take care of my own daughter. Can you? Ethan asked. When's the last time you helped her with homework? When's the last time you asked about her school day instead of complaining about yours? The questions hit like slaps because I couldn't answer them. I've been working, I've been stressed. We've all been stressed. The difference is that I didn't use it as an excuse to check out of our marriage. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. Heard about the legal papers. Are you okay? How does Jenna know? I demanded. Daryl told her. He's been keeping me informed about your behavior since the club night. You've been having me watched. I've been having my concerns validated by people who care about our family. Daryl doesn't care about our family. He cares about you. because I'm his friend and colleague, because I show up for work every day and don't embarrass myself or my family in public. Another text from Jenna. Want me to come over? I started to respond, but Ethan held out his hand. I need your phone. Excuse me? It's in the court orders. No contact with Toby Lynn. I need to monitor your communications to ensure compliance. You can't take my phone. I can and I will. You can have it back during the day for work purposes, but evenings and weekends, it stays with me. I clutched the phone to my chest. This is insane. This is the consequence of your choices. From upstairs, I could hear Irene reading to Chloe, their voices soft and comfortable. My daughter was being tucked in by her grandmother instead of her mother. She should be reading with me, I said. Then you should have been here instead of texting with bartenders. I was here most nights. Physically, maybe, but mentally and emotionally, you checked out months ago. I sank onto the couch, the legal papers scattered around me. What happens now? Now we follow the court orders. I have primary custody. You have supervised visits until a custody evaluation is complete. We divide assets according to the separation agreement. What about counseling? What about trying to save our marriage? Ethan sat down across from me, and for the first time in days, his expression softened slightly. Vesper, I loved you. I still love the woman I married. But that woman disappeared somewhere along the way, and I don't know how to get her back. She's still here. I'm still here. Are you? Because the woman I married wouldn't have lied to me about where she was going. She wouldn't have danced with other men and exchanged phone numbers. She wouldn't have humiliated me in front of our friends and family. I was just trying to feel alive again, at the expense of everything we built together. It doesn't have to be at the expense of anything. We could have worked through this together. I tried to work through it with you. You called me controlling and paranoid. The truth of that hit me hard. He had tried to talk to me, and I'd shut him down every time. I was defensive because I felt guilty. You felt guilty because you knew what you were doing was wrong. So that's it. 9 years of marriage and you're just giving up? I'm not giving up. I'm protecting myself and our daughter from further damage. I would never hurt Chloe. You already have. She's been asking me for weeks why Mommy seems angry all the time, why we don't watch movies together anymore, why you're always on your phone instead of playing with her. Each word was a knife to my heart because they were all true. I can change. I hope you do, for Chloe's sake, if not for your own. But not for us. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. I don't know if there's an us to save anymore. The finality in his voice broke something inside me. Ethan, please. I need your phone, Vesper. With shaking hands, I gave him my phone, watching him scroll through my recent messages. You texted Toby this afternoon. I'd forgotten about that. Just to tell him to stop contacting me. You told him you were dealing with drama at home and that you'd talk to him soon. That's not what I meant. It doesn't matter what you meant. It matters what you said. He deleted Toby's number from my contacts and blocked him on all my social media accounts. This is what accountability looks like, Vesper. No more lies, no more excuses, no more contact with other men. What if I don't agree to this? Then the divorce gets ugly, and you lose even more than you're losing now. I looked around our living room, at the family photos on the walls, at Chloe's toys scattered in the corner, at the life I'd apparently thrown away for a few hours of feeling desired. How did we get here? I whispered. You tell me, Ethan said, because I'm still trying to figure that out myself. The next morning, I woke up in the guest bedroom for the first time in 9 years. The symbolism wasn't lost on me. I was already a guest in my own life. Downstairs, I found Irene making breakfast, while Ethan helped Chloe with her backpack. Morning, Mummy, Chloe said, but her voice was uncertain. Morning, baby. How did you sleep? Okay. Daddy said you might not be driving me to school anymore. I looked at Ethan. That's not necessary. It's in the court orders. I handle school transportation during my custody time. I'm still her mother. And I'm making sure she has stability and routine. After they left, Irene and I faced each other across the kitchen table. "You know this didn't have to happen," she said. "Everyone keeps telling me what I should have done differently. No one wants to hear that I was unhappy." "Being unhappy doesn't give you the right to destroy your family." "I didn't destroy anything. Ethan's the one who filed papers. Ethan's the one cleaning up the mess you made." My phone, now monitored and restricted, buzzed with a call from my lawyer's office. I'd finally hired representation. "Mrs. Marwood, I've reviewed the papers. Your husband's attorney has built a very thorough case." "What does that mean?" "It means they have documentation of infidelity, financial irresponsibility, and evidence that your behavior has negatively impacted your child." "I didn't commit infidelity." "Emotional infidelity counts, especially when there's clear intent to pursue a physical relationship." "What are my options?" "Honestly, limited. You can fight the custody arrangement, but given the evidence, you're unlikely to win. Your best bet is to accept the separation terms and work toward rebuilding trust." "How long will that take?" "That depends entirely on you." After the call, I drove to work in a daze. The hospital felt different now, like everyone knew my personal business, which, thanks to social media, they probably did. Maria handed me a stack of messages. "These are from reporters, Mrs. Marwood." "Reporters?" "The story's been picked up by some local blogs, hospital administrators, wild night out, and things like that." My professional reputation was now as damaged as my personal one. Dr. Patterson called me into his office again. "Vesper, I'm afraid the media attention has forced our hand. We're placing you on administrative leave pending an internal review." "You're suspending me?" "We're protecting the hospital's reputation while you sort out your personal issues." "This is discrimination. This is consequence management. Your choices have created a liability for this institution." I cleaned out my office in a fog, packing up 9 years of career advancement into cardboard boxes. At home, I found Ethan in his study, reviewing financial documents with his lawyer via video call. "We'll need full disclosure of all accounts, investments, and assets," the lawyer was saying. "The sooner we get this organized, the smoother the process will be." "What process?" I interrupted. Ethan looked up. "Divorce proceedings. I'm moving forward with permanent dissolution." "I thought this was just a separation." "It was, but your behavior over the past week has convinced me that reconciliation isn't possible." "What behavior? I've been following your rules." "You've been sulking and blaming everyone else for the consequences of your actions. That's not accountability, it's manipulation." His lawyer spoke from the computer screen. "Mrs. Marwood, you should have your attorney present for this conversation." "I can't afford an attorney. My husband had me suspended from work." "I didn't have you suspended," Ethan said. "Your choices had you suspended." "Same thing." "No, it's not. And that attitude is exactly why we're here." That evening, Chloe came home from school with a drawing she'd made in art class. It showed our family, but I was standing far away from her and Ethan, with a sad face. "Why did you draw Mommy sad?" I asked. "Because you're always sad now, and angry." "I'm not angry at you, sweetheart." "But you're angry at Daddy." "It's complicated, baby." "Are you getting divorced?" The question hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. "We're working through some problems. Jenny's parents got divorced. Now she has 2 houses." "Would you like 2 houses?" Chloe considered this seriously. "Only if you and Daddy stop being sad." That night, after Chloe was in bed, I tried one last time to reach Ethan. What if I quit social media entirely? What if I change jobs, start over somewhere new? What if you take responsibility for what you did instead of trying to run away from it? I am taking responsibility. You're taking consequences. That's different. Then tell me what you want me to do. I want you to admit that you were wrong. Not wrong because you got caught, but wrong because you betrayed our marriage and hurt our daughter. I admit I made mistakes. Mistakes. You keep using that word. What you did wasn't a mistake. It was a choice, a series of choices. Fine, I made bad choices. Why? Because I was unhappy. And instead of talking to me about it, you decided to seek validation from other men. Yes. And you lied to me repeatedly about where you were and who you were with. Yes. And you humiliated me in front of our friends and family. Yes. And you prioritized your own selfish desires over the well-being of our daughter. That one was harder to say. Yes. And you would have had an affair with Toby Lynn if circumstances had been different. I wanted to deny it, but the evidence was overwhelming. Probably, yes. Thank you. That's the first honest thing you've said in weeks. So what now? Does honesty get me anything? It gets you the truth, which is that I can't trust you anymore. I can't trust you to be faithful, to be honest, or to put our family first. People can change. Some people can. But change requires genuine remorse, not just regret at getting caught. How do I prove I'm genuinely remorseful? I don't know if you can, and I don't know if it would matter at this point. The next morning brought the final blow. A process server arrived with the official divorce papers. Irreconcilable differences, division of assets, permanent custody arrangement, I read aloud. Ethan was making coffee, calm as always. My lawyer says it should be finalized within 6 months if you don't contest it. What if I do contest it? Then it gets expensive and ugly, and you still lose. The evidence against you is overwhelming. I stared at the papers that would legally end my marriage. 9 years, reduced to legal terminology and asset division. The custody arrangement gives you every other weekend and 1 evening per week, supervised until further evaluation. Supervised by whom? My mother, initially. Later, possibly unsupervised if you demonstrate consistent good judgment. Your mother hates me. My mother is disappointed in you. There's a difference. What about the house? I'm buying out your share. You'll have enough for a down payment on a small place. What about alimony? Given the circumstances of the divorce, my lawyer doesn't think you'll get much. I was losing everything. My marriage, my home, my daughter, my career, my financial security. All for what? A few hours of feeling desirable. Ethan, I know I messed up, but this seems excessive. Excessive would be me posting those security videos online. Excessive would be me telling your parents exactly what you said about them to Toby. Excessive would be me making sure everyone at the hospital knows why you were really suspended. You wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to. But if you make this divorce difficult, if you try to manipulate the custody situation, if you continue to blame everyone but yourself, then I'll use every piece of evidence I have. That's blackmail. That's protection. I'm protecting myself and Chloe from further damage. I signed the papers with shaking hands, watching my signature and the life I'd taken for granted. There's one more thing, Ethan said, pulling out a final document, a restraining order preventing contact with Toby Lynn or any return to Pulse nightclub. You're treating me like a criminal. I'm treating you like someone who's demonstrated poor judgment and needs boundaries. As I stared at the restraining order, the full weight of my situation hit me. I'd lost my husband, my home, my daughter, my job, and now my freedom. Any last questions? Ethan asked. Just one. Do you really think I'm that terrible of a person? He was quiet for a long moment. I think you're someone who forgot what was important, and by the time you remembered, it was too late. 6 months later, the divorce was final. I moved into a small apartment across town, started a new job at a different hospital, and began the long process of rebuilding my relationship with Chloe. Every other weekend, she came to stay with me, and slowly, we began to reconnect. She never asked about the divorce again, but sometimes I caught her looking at me with questions in her eyes. Ethan remarried 2 years later, a kind woman who worked at Chloe's school. At the wedding, which I watched from across the street, Chloe looked happier than I'd seen her since before that night at Pulse. I never did figure out if one night of fun could really destroy a marriage, but I learned that one night of selfish choices could destroy everything that mattered, and that some mistakes, no matter how much you regret them, can never be undone.